Hello everyone, my name is Linda, a teacher from Youth English School. Today we'll have a lesson about the difference of using have and have got. You can see many American people use have and British people use have got, or sometimes in spoken English they use have got more than have. So what exactly you have to do when you use have and have got? In the affirmative form of the sentence, you say, I've got an LCD player. Or you can say, I have got an LCD player. She's got two brothers. You can say, she has got two brothers. For have and have got, if you talk about possessions, then it's pretty much the same. You can totally replace have got with have. For example, I have an LCD player. You can say, she has two brothers. So to talk about possession, like having something, owning something, you can use have and have got similarly. Other examples. He's got a headache. Headache is the word to describe the pain in your head or in your mind. You can say, he has a headache in this example. It's pretty much the same. The next one, it hasn't got a swimming pool. So it here is, we're talking about a place where there is a swimming pool in that place. But in this case, if you say hasn't, which is the negative form of the sentence, you can say it doesn't have a swimming pool. The next one's also a negative sentence. I haven't got a car at the moment. Which means that at the moment, you don't have a car. You don't own a car. So you can say, I don't have a car at the moment. What about questions? How can we say that in questions with have and have got? You can say, have you got the time? If you want to ask someone whether they have time for you or not. So you can say, have you got the time? Or have you got some time? In these questions, you can say with have is, do you have the time? Or do you have some time? Let's move to the structure of the sentence to actually know how to form the sentence. With the previous example, having a car, for negative sentence with have got, you will put not after have, and in short you say haven't, or for he, she, it, you say hasn't. So it should be haven't got a car. But with have, the negative form, you will need to use do not, before the word have. That's why for the short form they say I don't have a car. That's for the negative sentences. For the questions with short answers, have you got any brothers or sisters? These questions, they want to know whether you have brothers or sisters. So the answers to this question is not the yes-no type, no. If you have brother or sisters, you say, for example, I have one brother, or I have two sisters. But if you don't have any brothers or sisters, you say, no, I haven't. So which is actually have not. But if you have brothers or sisters, you say, I have one brother, for example. Now for the verb forms, in this case, you can say, do you have any brothers or sisters? Okay. Now, the verb forms in the yes-no questions. Now, it's actually a yes-no question, not the previous type. Have you got a car? For these questions, if you say yes, then after that you should say I have. If you say no, how should we say in this case again? I haven't. If you use these questions with the verb have, it should be, do you have a car? If you answer yes, then the later form of it should be, yes, I do. If the answer is no, what should we say in this case? No, I don't. Let's move to the next one. With the verb have, sometimes you can use have and a noun to make a verb phrase to talk about a certain state or certain action. And normally, when you have this structure, the noun here can be a word that can be used as a noun and a verb. If you look at these examples, you see, I always have a quick shower when I get up. So, shower is a word you can use as a noun or a verb. That's why you have the word have a shower. Instead, you can actually use directly the verb shower. I always shower quickly when I get up. The next case, let's have a rest before we go on. Rest is a verb to talk about when you want to relax, to take a break or something. The word rest can be used as a verb as well. So you can say, let's rest before we go on. Next example, I often have a sleep after lunch. Sleep is also a verb, and you can say, I often sleep after lunch. The last example, this computer game is really hard. Would you like to have a try? Try, you normally see people use the word try as a verb, but instead of using the word try, like, would you like to try? You can say, would you like to have a try? So it's pretty much the same meaning. I have two other examples to talk about the word can be used as the verb and a noun, but instead we can use the word have and that word to create a verb phrase. For example, I had a dream about you last night. The word dream can be a verb or a noun. Okay? So in this case, you say the word have a dream and the same meaning with dream. Or, let me have a think before I decide. I know this example is a little bit new for people because normally people say, let me think before I decide. But you can say, have a think. Well, don't mistaken with this one, you can say one thing, two things, three things. No, you don't say that. Remember the lesson about uncountable nouns and countable nouns that I gave you? So you say have a think is actually the word let me think before I decide. So this one can also be a verb or a noun. But for some other cases, you can't use have and noun to describe it. For example, he was lucky. Well, normally people don't say he had luck. No, you don't say that. You say he was lucky. So in that case, you have to use the adjective to describe a state. Also, to talk about, the feeling of your body, how you feel. For example, I'm hungry. You want to eat. In this case, you don't say, I have a hunger. No. Okay? You have to use adjective. Or I have a eat. No, people don't say that. Okay? So you have to use adjective in such cases. The next type of structure is when you have and an object to talk about, a certain action. Let's say if you talk about the meals of the day, you can say have and then the noun to describe the meal. Here I have breakfast, have lunch, or you can say have dinner or supper. Okay? So to describe the meals of the day. Also, have a party is actually organized, the action of organize a party or enjoying or going to a party. Have a party. Have a look. The word look can be a verb or a noun, just like the word think, have a think. Have a look is just like, you look into something, basically. Or have a drink. Have a drink with drink as a verb or the noun. And normally when people say have a drink, is actually an invitation. Let's say, have a drink with me, for example. Next one is the very common phrase, have a baby. And this one is the same meaning with the word pregnant. She's going to have a baby, or she is pregnant, so it's the same. We have some other examples of have an object. For example, if you want to talk about the feelings or the thoughts after you do something, after a period of time, you can say, have a nice time, have a great time if you're really happy, or if you had a horrible experience with something, you can say, have a terrible time. This one, with the structure of have a nice time or have a nice day, normally people say it as a wish to somebody. Also, have an argument. The word argument is a noun, comes from the verb argue. So instead of using the word argue directly, people can use the verb phrase have an argument. Next one, have a problem. Have a problem has the same meaning with, having difficulty with something. Also, you say have the bill. The bill is like the invoice when you go to a restaurant to have a meal, and at the end of the meal, you want to pay for, the meal. So you can ask the waiter or waitress, can I have the bill, please? So have the bill is, the verb phrase to talk about a request. Next one is a little bit long, so I hope you remember this after the lesson, which is have a word with somebody. This one is just has the same meaning with speak to somebody. Okay, have a word with somebody. Have a word here doesn't mean you just say one word. No, it means you want to talk to someone. Okay? Now let's move to the exercises so you can remember the lesson better. Here, for the first exercise, I have some sentences and I want you to change it from have to have got, or if the sentence is in have got, I want you to change it to have. For example, I have a new CD player. This case, I can change it to I've got a new CD player. Okay, I'll leave you some time to do this exercise from sentence 2 to 6. Are you done? Alright, let's just check this exercise. The second one, I don't have a job at the moment. This one is a negative form, don't. So you change it to have got in this case. How you do that? You put not after have. So you have, I haven't got a job at the moment. Next one, has he got any change for the machine? This case, they use had got, so you have to change it to have, and you say, does he have any change for the machine? Number 4, she hasn't got much money, so they use has got. In this case, you have to change it to have. So it should be doesn't have. Number 5 and number 6 is pretty similar. It's just negative form and the question form. I'm sure you can do it, or just revise the theory that I talked to you earlier. Move to exercise 2. Now, I have some sentences, and also I want you to change it from the form of have to have got where possible. And you can make other changes necessary. For example, do you have a car? You change it to, have you got a car? Or, have you seen her today? Well, for this case, you can notice they use the word seen, have seen. In this sentence, you are not talking about possession. Okay, you're not talking about having something or having someone. In this case, it's the form of the past participle of the word see. So you can't change it into have. Okay? So I'll leave you some time to do this exercise from number 3 to number 10. Alright, have you finished? For this exercise, I'll just correct you some sentences I think are necessary and important. For example, do you have a spare pen? No, sorry. In this case, they use the word have to talk about owning a pen, having a pen. You can change this one to, have you got a spare pen? But for number 7, for example, let's have lunch. This sentence talking about a suggestion, asking someone to have lunch. So this case is not about eating the meal itself, but it's a request, or invitation. So in this case, you can't change. Right? You can't change the form here. You can't say, let's have got. No, you can't say that because it's an invitation. For the rest of the exercise, please revise to the earlier structures that you can do it. For this exercise, you need to fill in the gaps with the suitable words. I have sentence from A to J. For the first example, I'm tired, I think I'll have a sleep. I'll do for you another example. I had a funny something about you last night. I woke up laughing. To fill in the gap of the sentence, you have to use the clue of the next sentence, woke up. So, the word put in here should be a dream. Pretty much the words you put in the gaps of this exercise are the words that I've talked to you in the previous example of the lessons. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do this exercise. Are you all done? Okay, so we have the next sentence. I'm exhausted. Can we have a something? Remember the word exhausted, which is an adjective to talk about the state of being tired, but it's more than just being tired. Exhausted means you don't have any strength. You're so tired, extremely tired. So exhausted is, the worst form of tired. When you're tired, what do you need? You need to have a rest. Next one. She's having her 21st birthday next week. Are you going? Is gonna be have a birthday party. And next one. I need to have a something before I decide what to do. If you want to decide what to do, you need some time to think, right? So, I need to have a think before I decide what to do. The rest of the exercise, the words in these sentences are from the examples I've talked to you earlier. So this exercise is for you to read your mind and to remember the words in the examples. So you can totally check the other examples I gave you earlier to finish this exercise. Okay, if you want to ask someone to do something for you, you will have the structure, could I? So in this case, I want you to read these situations, then you will have to use the structure, could I, with the verb have and a noun to rephrase the sentence as a request. For example, if you want to pay in the restaurant, what can you say? Could I have the bill, please? So you have the word have and the word bill as a noun. So the verb phrase have a bill to request to have the bill. Okay. So from sentence B to E, please change it to the sentence that starts with could I using the verb have and a noun. Are you all done? Right. The next one, you would like to look at someone's newspaper. So what can you say to ask them to give you the newspaper to look at it? In this case, you say, Could I? Now you see the verb look. You can change this one to have a look. So you can say, could I have a look at your newspaper? Or the next one, you want to speak to your teacher. This one is a little bit difficult. Remember the verb phrase is pretty long at the beginning of the lesson that I noted about. If you want to speak to something, you can say, could I have a word with you? So you can say this to your teacher. Could I have a word with you? Next one, you are in a friend's house and you're thirsty. When you're thirsty, need a drink. What can you say? Could I have a drink, please? Or someone asks you if you want to buy the CD player, but you're not 100% sure if you want it, so you need some time to think about it. You can say, could I have a think about it? Okay, let's move to the next exercise. So we have 5 sentences starting with Mary. So we're talking about Mary here. I want you to change these sentences using have and a noun, but keeping the same meaning. Okay? For example, Mary is speaking to one of the boys. You can say Mary is having a word with one of the boys. So I want you to do the same thing with other sentences using have and a noun, but keeping the same meaning. Okay? Okay. Let's correct this exercise. For the next one, Mary is pregnant. You can say Mary is having a baby. Remember that when you change the forms of the verbs using have and a noun, you have to remember the tense of the verb as well. For example, in this example, you say is speaking. So you're talking about an action at the moment. When you change it, you have to say is having. Also, with this one in the present tense, is pregnant. So that's why I'm saying that is having a baby. Okay, instead of saying had a baby. Sentence C. In the past tense, Mary found it very difficult to work the video. So you have this one in the past tense. So you should say, Mary had a difficulty. Had, or you can say had a problem with the video. Okay? Because I have a difficulty with something or had a problem with something or doing something. In this case, I can say another way is Mary had a problem working the video instead of saying with the video. Alright? Next one. Mary examined my bad shoulder. Examines actually look into something carefully to see if, there is problems or something. So in this case, you say, Mary had a look in my shoulder, my bad shoulder, sorry. Next one, Mary really enjoyed herself in Ireland. Remember having a good time? So you can say this one, had a great time, or had a good time, up to you. Okay, that's the end of lessons about have and have got. Remember, for have, in the negatives form, remember to use do or does not with have. Have got, you can change it very easily using not after have. You can say have not, haven't, or hasn't, has not. Okay. For have, normally American English, they use have, and in British English, they use have got. And normally, they can use have and a noun to talk about a verb phrase, to describe a state or an activity. So please have a look through all the examples that I gave you today and the exercise that we've done. Alright, So thank you for paying attention. I'm Linda, teacher from Youth English School. Goodbye.